In the vast history of the Islamic world, many cities rose to power, became centers of learning, trade, and culture, and then mysteriously vanished, leaving behind ruins, sands, and forgotten names. Today, we will journey through 10 such lost cities of the Islamic world, exploring their origins, their glory, and the reasons for their decline. This journey will take us across deserts, mountains, and river valleys as we rediscover the cities that once defined civilizations and shaped history. These stories are not only about stone and sand, but also about people who dreamed, built, and left behind a legacy that time could not fully erase.
City 1, Samarra. On the banks of the Tigris, in present-day Iraq, stands the ruins of Samarra. Once a dazzling capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, founded in the 9th century, it was built to showcase the wealth and might of the empire. The city stretched for miles and housed the famous spiral minaret of the Great Mosque of Samarra, a masterpiece of Islamic architecture. It became a hub of culture and military power, attracting scholars, artisans, and warriors. Yet internal strife, corruption, and invasions weakened Samarra. Over centuries, it fell into decay. Today, its vast ruins still whisper the story of a capital that once rivaled Baghdad in grandeur. City 2, Fustad. Before Cairo, there was Fustad. Founded in the 7th century after the Muslim conquest of Egypt, it was the first capital under Islamic rule. Built near the Nile, Fustad became a vital trade and cultural center. Its bustling markets sold textiles, glass, and ceramics, while its mosques became places of worship and learning. But Fustad suffered greatly from fires, invasions, and political changes. By the 12th century, much of the city was abandoned, and Cairo rose in its place. The ashes of Fustad remind us of Egypt's first Islamic capital.
City 3, Palmyra, under Islamic rule. Palmyra, known since ancient times as a desert jewel, rose again under Islamic rule after the Muslim conquests. The city, located in present-day Syria, stood at the crossroads of East and West, linking trade from Persia, India, and the Mediterranean. Its Roman colonnades and temples were joined by Islamic structures, creating a unique blend of civilizations. Palmyra was fortified, and its caravan routes flourished, carrying silk, spices, and precious goods. Yet wars, rebellions, and shifting trade eventually drained Palmyra of life. Over centuries, the city crumbled under invasions and earthquakes. The vast ruins seen today remind us of its role as a bridge between ancient Rome and the Islamic world. City 4, Al-Qurayat. Far in the Arabian Peninsula lay Al-Qurayat, an important oasis city during the early Islamic centuries. It was a lifeline for travelers, merchants, and pilgrims crossing the harsh deserts of Arabia. The city became known for its wells, its markets, and its fortified structures, serving as a protective stop along trade and pilgrimage routes. It provided shelter, food, and safety for caravans moving between Yemen, Syria, and the holy cities. Yet, as new trade routes shifted and political centers changed, Al-Qurayat lost its prominence. Desert winds slowly swallowed its streets and homes, leaving only traces of walls and scattered stones. The silence of Al-Qurayat still speaks of the thousands who once found life there.
City 5, Fustat. Fustat was the very first capital of Islamic Egypt, founded by General Amr ibn al-As in the 7th century. It rose beside the Nile as a new center of administration, trade, and religion. Mosques, markets, and houses spread across the land, and soon Fustat became one of the largest cities of the early Islamic world. Its famous mosque of Amr ibn al-As became a symbol of Islamic presence in Africa. The city thrived with merchants dealing in textiles, glass, and fine crafts. Its location near the river made it a hub of international trade. Yet, Fustat faced tragedy in the 12th century when it was deliberately burned to prevent its capture during the Crusader invasions. The flames consumed much of its grandeur, and over time, Cairo overshadowed it. Today, only faint ruins remain beneath modern Cairo, but the memory of Fustat as the first beating heart of Islamic Egypt still lives on. City 6, Basra of antiquity. Basra, founded during the Caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab, stood as one of the most important garrison cities of early Islam. Located in southern Iraq, it grew rapidly into a flourishing center of commerce, learning, and culture. The city became a gateway to the Persian Gulf, bringing goods from India, China, and Africa into the Islamic world. Scholars, poets, and jurists gathered in Basra, contributing to the golden age of Islam. Its markets overflowed with pearls, spices, and fine textiles. Yet the city also witnessed turmoil, with revolts, wars, and devastating floods weakening its strength. Over time, shifting trade routes and political changes reduced its importance. The Basra of old eventually disappeared beneath layers of destruction, but its legacy as a city of learning and trade remains carved in Islamic memory.
City 7, Zaybid. Zaybid, in Yemen, was once one of the shining jewels of the Islamic world. Founded in the 9th century, it became a center of Islamic scholarship, science, and art. Its great mosque echoed with the voices of scholars who shaped Islamic law and literature. The city was famous for its schools and madrasas, attracting students from across Arabia, Africa, and beyond. Trade also enriched Zaybid, as merchants exchanged spices, coffee, and precious goods through its markets. Its architecture reflected both beauty and faith, with narrow streets and traditional Yemeni houses. Yet centuries of political conflict, tribal wars, and economic decline weakened its power. Today, Zaybid still exists, but its old grandeur has faded, leaving behind traces of a city that once guided the Islamic world in knowledge and faith. City 8, Ray. Ray once stood near modern Tehran in Iran. It was one of the ancient cities that flourished under both pre-Islamic and Islamic rulers. When the Muslims took the city in the 7th century, it became a vibrant hub of administration, commerce, and scholarship. Ray grew into one of the wealthiest cities of Persia, with bustling bazaars, mosques, and caravan routes connecting it to Central Asia and the Middle East. Its scholars contributed to the fields of medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. Yet Ray suffered greatly during invasions, earthquakes, and civil wars. The Mongol invasions in the 13th century finally broke its strength, reducing it to ruins. Though later settlements grew nearby, the glory of Ray as a great Islamic city was lost to time. Its story reminds us of how fragile even the richest centers of civilization can be. City 9, Samarra. Samarra in Iraq was once the seat of the mighty Abbasid Caliphate. In the 9th century, the caliphs moved their capital from Baghdad to Samarra, transforming it into one of the most ambitious cities of the Islamic world. The famous spiral minaret of the Great Mosque of Samarra still stands as a symbol of that era. Samarra was filled with palaces, gardens, and military barracks, built to house tens of thousands of troops from across the empire. For a time, it was a glittering capital, rivaling Baghdad in power and prestige. But political instability, internal struggles, and the eventual return of the caliphs to Baghdad weakened Samarra. By the 13th century, Mongol invasions devastated the city. Today, its ruins still echo with the memory of a brief but brilliant golden age when Samarra was the beating heart of the Islamic Empire. City 10, Fez's Lost Quarters. Fez in Morocco still thrives today, but many of its oldest Islamic quarters have faded into history. Founded in the 8th and 9th centuries, it became one of the greatest cities of North Africa. A center of religion, trade, and scholarship, Fez was home to the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, considered the oldest continually operating university in the world. Pilgrims, scholars, and merchants flocked to the city, turning it into a cultural crossroads. Yet some of the city's earliest districts, markets, and monuments were destroyed over centuries by wars, rebellions, and natural decay. Much of this lost Fez now lies beneath modern structures or in ruins beyond the main city. The story of Fez reminds us that even cities that survive can still carry within them entire worlds that have been lost. These 10 cities, from Fustat to Samarra, from Rai to Fez, show us the rise and fall of Islamic civilization. They were centers of trade, knowledge, faith, and empire. Their markets carried goods across continents. Their mosques echoed with prayer, and their schools spread wisdom to generations. Yet all of them remind us of the fragile nature of human achievement. Wars, invasions, natural disasters, and the passage of time erased their greatness. What remains are ruins, stories, and memories. But by studying these lost cities, we remember not only what was destroyed, but also what was built. A world of creativity, learning, and power that once shaped the destiny of nations. The lost cities of the ancient Islamic world are not only tales of the past, they are warnings and inspirations for the future, showing us how civilizations rise, fall, and live again in memory.